have so much that I want to like talk to you about because I think this what you discovered is just so it was kind of just so insanely groundbreaking. So for those of you who are not familiar, I guess about exactly a month ago, Arden did what I like to call like Project Veritas style undercover. I've always been enthralled and intrigued by the women who go on dates with guys and get them to admit stuff that they maybe shouldn't just be telling someone they're on a first or second date with. But I believe all human beings, they want to be honest ultimately and get things off their chest. And when people need to vent and talk about stuff, yes, it will come out on a first date, on a second date. So Arden did some undercover dating research. And this is just so interesting. And the things that you were able to discover, you ended up going on a couple of dates with the content manager from Pornhub, basically, technical product manager.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I can't even describe how
Websites,
shocked I
most
was.
notably.
Oh, I'll let you play that.
I'll play a little snippety
Yeah.
snippet, Harry.
I think so. For sure. I mean, 180 million unique visitors a day is a lot. Even like Jordan Peterson, I know like he says like there's not many studies on it. There's not a lot of like we don't really know the implications of it. That can't be normal. That can't be healthy. That can't be like that must do something. That's like significant.
Pornhub worried about ethics.
Not really. I don't think it's worried about ethics. It's a fucking adult website. It's kind of the opposite of ethical. How they all because I wouldn't give a shit.
Earlier this
So basically, Arden, yeah, you started your investigation into Pornhub starting back, I think, in February. Was it February of 2023?
Yeah.
And
We and then we started recording subjects in like June of 2023.
and I think that the story is so amazing because you your plan of attack was basically two-pronged. It was, like, basically through kind of, like, LinkedIn and the career path, the career way in. You're like, "I'm gonna" I think on one hand, you kind of, pretended to be in the medical industry. Correct me if I'm wrong. You pretended
Yeah.
to involved how did that part of it work? 'Cause I think we all can figure out, like, okay, with the logging onto a dating site, you just sort of swipe until you find somebody that looks interesting, but how did the medical part of it work?
So one of the subjects that I recorded had his own business on the side. He had started an app that helped medical professionals schedule their appointments with patients. And so I just pretended to work in the medical field. The app wasn't like out yet, so I pretended like I wanted to try it. And yeah.
And would those meetings go similar to this one that we see here? Would they be
Yeah.
kind of like dates, or would they be more like coffee meetings or
Uh,
interviews?
it would like we met for over a meal, so it probably looks like a date, even though it was initiated in a like professional way.
Okay.
Yeah.
And those that kinda started at the same time that you were also you're like, "Okay, now let me log on to a bunch of basically dating sites in this sort of, I guess, Montreal area." Was that your plan?
Yeah, I focused on Montreal because MindGeek, now it's called ALO, but it's the parent company of Pornhub. All right, maybe I shouldn't say that word. I'm gonna say P-Hub since they're
P-Hub.
on YouTube.
Oh, that's kind. Thanks.
um, and yeah, I focus on them because they have a big office there. Their headquarters are located there, and so most of their employees are concentrated in Montreal.
Are you based in Montreal as well?
I'm in the US, I'm in the States. So I was flying back and forth from here in Canada
Wow.
for like 4 months straight.
This is a good question. Were you wearing any kind of a disguise, or did you feel like you had to, like, conceal how you look in any way?
No, I pretty much wore like essentially what I would normally wear.
Yeah.
And yeah, I didn't disguise myself whatsoever.
And okay, and so did you just you figured, "Okay, I'm gonna log on to a couple different dating sites." So now you have to create a dating profile, and you're not a single woman either, right? You're married, so you're
No.
creating these fake profiles. Um, were you worried about, like, what your husband might think? Because I know you mentioned in your interview with Allie that he was kind of watching over you. He was aware of the process. Even on one of these dates, he was kind of in the distance, making sure nothing funny
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah,
What was
I
his
mean,
feelings about it?
he's very supportive. There's no like weirdness from him about it whatsoever. He knows it's part of the job. And yeah, he's just a great guy who's along for the ride and very mission aligned when it comes to um, trying to end or de-incentivize these abusers from being able to monetize videos of abuse online. I think the blanket term we'd use is tech facilitated sexual exploitation. So yeah, my husband's very supportive and very aligned.
Right, and the mission here is, yeah, basically what happens when you ask the porn industry to stop and consider morality, what is right, and this is an industry that profits off of you could say weakness, and one of the most interesting things I've heard you say is that male adult actors who are in this industry working they are of age, but they happen to look very young themselves. Like maybe they look like they're 15, but they're 21. Uh, you mentioned that those guys actually make the most money of anybody on
Yeah,
the site, more than the
yeah,
girls.
their videos earn the most money. They get the most clicks, the most conversion rates when it comes to advertising. I think it's Undercover video number 5. We have 7 total. Dylan Rice, who's a senior scriptwriter for ALO, explains to me that guys who look about 15 do the best. They get the most conversion rates. And because it draws a lot of pedophiles and young teens to a video to see someone who appears to be a minor having sex with someone who is obviously an adult. And that was shocking. That was one of those things where I wasn't really expecting him to say anything like that. And there's a few moments during the undercover investigation where I was really caught off guard.
Yeah, because you would think it would be girls. You figure most people are on porn sites to watch like pretty girls, and I guess it was
Yeah.
Dylan who said that you draw in these pedos, and then they can become like whales, and you're basically like, well, we know what their weakness is, we know what they're into, and we're just gonna serve them up more and more of that to keep them paying.
Yeah, and I think the concept of someone who looks underage in a video with someone who's obviously an adult, it not only does it draw pedophiles who like seeing the young boy, but it draws kids who fantasize about being the young boy, which is also very disturbing that they're not taking any effort whatsoever to keep children off of the pornographic or adult content websites. So extremely disturbing. And his personal attitude toward a 12-year-old watching explicit content is that he would encourage it, that he thinks that a 12-year-old watching trans content would help them get in touch with their sexuality, explore themselves a bit more. And I definitely was going into that meeting thinking he wouldn't say that, you know?
This is with Dylan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, it's so much to unpack, and your curiosity about this, the reason why you started looking into this goes back to 2020, I believe, when P-Hub started to come under fire for not age verifying the content uh, of people that they were posting, right? And then
Correct.
they're in a couple of current lawsuits, I think.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of current litigation. Yeah, in 2020, the company went under fire for not taking down underage videos of abuse, and that these victims were writing in and saying, "Hey, this is me. Please take this down. I was, 14 when this was recorded, and I don't consent to this." And the company was just ignoring them, which is crazy. And that created a huge scandal publicly. They claim to have changed their ways and improved some processes. I do think they were forced to improve those processes, and it the guidelines became more strict, but there's still a lot of room for error. There is still illegal material making its way through, and they're purposefully turning a blind eye to it because it would cut into their profits.
Right. From their opinion, it's like, why would they go out of their way to have less content and to make less money? Why would they spend more time and resources to ultimately just make less money?
Exactly. Yeah.
It kind of they turn a blind eye because they're like, well, yeah, we're not doing ourselves any favors here. So right, and so Arden, you're following in 2020 um, these these legal cases between, Pornhub and these underage kids who basically just wanted their content to be removed. And you started to get the feeling, okay, maybe they're just saying the right things. What gave you the feeling like, I don't think they're actually changing very much over at Pornhub? Like, what made you
Yeah.
feel like you wanted to look more deeply into
Well,
it?
really, it was a friend of mine who sent me the article, was like, read this. I think they're still up to essentially the same stuff. We should do something about it. And he asked me, like, would you go undercover? And I was like, sure. So ever since then, it's been the two of us, me and Eric. He's the founder of Sound Investigations. We're a completely like self-funded project. And this was our first investigation, and we just decided to see how it goes. We didn't know if we would find anything. It was very possible that we would have spoken to these employees and everything would have been on the up and up, but many of these employees had something completely different to say.
So what were some of the most shocking things you heard from it was mostly your dates or meetings with you said Dylan Rice,
Yes.
and also the other guy's name was Mike
Mike
Farley, and that's
Farley.
that's the guy who's
He's
in
the
this video
product
here.
manager. Yeah. The most shocking thing, and honestly the first thing that I recorded, was Mike Farley telling me about this upload loophole where the content reviewers internally at the company find it absolutely impossible, because it is impossible, to match a face on an ID to a body in a video, because many
Mm.
videos don't contain faces at all. So there's a lot of guesswork and, just push it through. It looks about right. Where really you don't know if someone's 14, 16, 20. Many times you can't tell. So when Mike Farley started talking about that loophole, I was shocked. And not only that, but the fact that he said it was enough of an issue to him that he sat down and recorded a meeting of him telling the executives about this loophole, and he was told to F off and shut up about it.
Whoa.
And
Okay, so he's
then,
having a little bit of a conscience crisis here.
yeah, and well, he explained it like, if things ever hit the fan, I don't want to go down for it. So it was almost like I'm covering
He's
my
covering
own.
himself.
Yeah, but then he goes on to say, "I would never be able to defend this in court. Like,
Oh.
I could be called into a deposition over this, but luckily we have corporate attorneys who coach us on what to say. Basically, they just tell you to say, 'I don't know,' the entire time." And I was like, so flash forward to, like less than a month ago, Mike Farley was subpoenaed to be a witness in a new sex trafficking case out of Alabama where victims who were underage during the time of their videos being recorded and circulated are suing ALO, the parent company of P-Hub, for sex trafficking.
Wow. So they're kind of just all admitting like, yeah, we do profit off of sex trafficking.
Yeah. I asked him if I don't want to say it on YouTube, but the R word. It rhymes
Okay.
with grape.
Okay.
Rapists and traffickers, do they exploit this loophole? He goes, of course. And it's so matter of fact. It's like, yeah, duh. Like, why are you even asking?
And this guy, Mike, he was one of the earliest hires at P-Hub.
Mhm.
He's been there 11 years. He's probably very much able to compartmentalize his job from his conscience.
Very much. Yeah.
And like you said in a previous interview, they probably all have to watch probably a great deal of content just to do their jobs. And maybe they just go
Yeah.
on autopilot.
A lot of these tech guys do. And he explained to me, he tried to like kind of explain it to me that, oh, it's no different if I was watching videos of kittens all day. It's just content.
Oh, really?
I
Yeah,
was
it's the
like,
exact same.
okay, cool.
Holy cow. Which, between Mike and Dylan, which one do you feel like you got the most information from?
Man, that's hard to say. Uh, they're so different because Mike revealed a lot of the tech side of things, the content moderation side of things, and his personal attitude toward the company is that he thinks it's unethical. He doesn't believe adult content is healthy or good or studied enough, and blah blah blah. But then on the other hand, Dylan, he revealed a lot of like the marketing side of things to me, marketing uh, gay and trans content to historically straight viewers to try to quote convert
Ooh.
them.
Really? That's fascinating. So they will try to convert straight,
Yes, yeah.
heterosexual, probably mostly men, but probably some
Mhm.
women too. Convert them like, "Hey, you might like this trans content."
Yeah, so they try to inch them over and say, "Okay, well, here's some bi content. Maybe you like that. Here's some, uh, female presenting trans
Why
content."
do they do that?
So he used the term convert, I believe, in a marketing sense, and his understanding was that it makes the company more profitable off of the same person. So you're able to sell a wider range of product to the same person. So his reasoning was it's all about money. I think there could be a deeper reasoning there higher up in the company. But the money reasoning is bad enough.
Okay, so it's either just about squeezing as many dollars out of one customer as possible, or it could be because I've heard a theory like the more kind of kinks you expose yourself to and watch, that it's like it becomes like it numbs out, and you just need to keep raising the stakes on whatever kink you're watching to get that same feeling, to get the and then you're getting to a point where like I don't know, maybe some people feel like I've seen it all and they got to watch weirder and weirder stuff.
Yeah, I do think that's common actually. The adult industry really likes to deny that and points to very questionable, flimsy studies um, that I've read. And the studies they cite are like, we asked 37 inmates that have all committed violent sexual crimes if uh, adult content had contributed to their actions, and they all said no. It's like, well, that's not really a study. That's
No.
just you.
Oh, is Mike wearing the same shirt in his profile as he's wearing on your date?
Yeah, I noticed that too.
What is he made the profile that morning?
I noticed that too. That's
He just
funny.
really loves that shirt.
Yeah, it's a good shirt. It's a It's a basic
It could be
staple.
it's a classic basic. Maybe he's just like, "You know what? I found this shirt that works. I'm buying 10 copies of each
He
one."
probably has 10, yeah.
Yeah, just a streamlined, outfit. Wow, this is so fascinating. Yes, and he brings up Jordan Peterson multiple times. So,
Mhm.
it's like he really has to have a disconnect between what he himself follows, what he himself thinks is right, and what he does for money. Because 'cause I'm sure he makes, at least 6 figures.
Yeah, I'm sure he lives very comfortably. He's been there for 11 years and was the 7th person to ever be hired.
He's so young. How old is he? He's been there
I
11
don't
years.
I don't remember actually. I think he's just in his 30s. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
He
Wow.
looks very young, yeah.
Yeah, he does. Well, okay, interesting. So they really they are kind of pushing trans content on people.
Yeah, they are, and actually what was really interesting was Dylan said that the main audience for Trans Angels, which is one of their trans pay sites, where it's mainly female presenting trans people who are featured on the site, and he said the main audience for that is straight men.
Wow. I wonder if it's like a nature or nurture thing, like how many people are genuinely curious versus like, well, if you put it in my face enough and
Right.
it is probably like a form of kind of like trickery. Like no wonder people could, get upset and end up like
Yeah, because
be
there
questioning themselves like,
are
"Oh, am I gay?" Because it's like if you could be a beautiful looking woman, that's
totally,
actually
yeah.
a dude.
Totally, completely. And for my work, unfortunately, I have had to visit some of these sites. And looking at trans angels content, I don't suggest anyone do it, but you can take my word for it. Um, it is shocking how realistic these men can look as women. And just seeing the waist up, I think a man would definitely believe it to be a woman.
Yeah, it's harder to go the other way though. It's harder to like get a woman to convincingly look like a dude because it's like we're just not built
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah.
This is so wild. Okay, so did you when you were making these dating apps, did you feel like you had to fill them out differently than you normally would to attract the kind of guys
um,
you were looking for?
Honestly, no, I try to be as honest as possible. I think that's always better, and it's just more realistic because I think people detect BS. So I just put some photos of myself and was like, I made up a different name, but that was pretty much it.
And
Like,
and Mike Farley was actually one of the first profiles that you encountered.
yeah, it happened really early on. The first day I got on the app, the dating app, and it's just crazy how it happened because he didn't even have the company name listed anywhere on his profile. He just said that he worked in tech, and I just decided to swipe right and see what happened.
Like tech, eh? Hmm.
That could mean a lot of things. Yeah.
And so, how did it work? Did he reach out to you first? Did you reach out to him first? Like, how quickly were you able to set up a date?
I think I messaged him first, and I just asked him like, "What kind of tech do you do?" or something, and he said, "Hey, I'm the product manager for Pornhub," and I
And
was
you were
like,
like, jackpot.
"What? Like this? Am I being punked?" That was
Yeah.
crazy. I don't remember how long it was from when we started talking to our first meeting, but it wasn't long. I only saw each subject a maximum of 2 times just for
Did
my safety and everything.
right. Did you try to play it like the first date you would just, not ask as many questions and maybe wait for the second date for more to come out, or did you kind of just, like, let them lead the way, and if they wanted to vent, you let
Yeah,
them?
I, like, let them lead, see if they wanted to talk about work, press the buttons, see what happened. But
Wow.
most of them really wanted to talk about it, thought we're probably, excited that someone was curious about it, and I genuinely was curious.
Yeah, and they
Yeah.
probably need to talk about it too, because if you're having this, like a conscious crisis and you're not seeing a therapist, or you're not like, men are not often like calling up their dude friends and having like hours long conversations, like
Right.
working through something. So a lot of times an issue will be like right on the surface and you need to talk about it. Um, it is fascinating how quickly like this information comes out. Like it seems all like stuff. If you were to hear on the job, you would need some kind of like NDA or um, to sign
Yeah.
some sort of
Yeah.
agreement.
I definitely caught them off guard. I think the fact that the adult industry hasn't been investigated in this manner before, coupled with the fact that Canada hasn't really seen a ton of undercover journalism, I think it just wasn't a thought in their mind that I could be looking for information.
How did you go about, because I imagine if I was gonna set out to do this, I wouldn't know, like, what cameras to buy, I wouldn't know how to put it on my body, I wouldn't know, like, what to wear. Were you nervous the whole time? Were you worried that
I
the
was
beep thing
nervous.
would go off? Do you worried
Yeah.
something's gonna start blinking? There's like, "Oh, change the battery pack," and you're like, "Fuck."
I was nervous. I don't think I'll ever like stop being nervous in the field, but yeah, equipment can be a pain if it's not reliable, and many times it's not. Just because there's really limited options out there for cameras. But I just did my best. I hope for the best every time.
Yeah. How did you figure out, like, what equipment to get?
There's a bunch of online stores. You could even search on Amazon. Amazon will have some. A lot of it's not very expensive either. I think searching for like undercover camera equipment will get you there on Amazon. There's like wearable things.
Wow. I've heard a lot of people, and I see it in the chat too. People go, "Oh, these guys are gonna be forever worried. They're never gonna be able to go on a date again. They should always. I guess these guys just can't date." And it's like anybody who's in, I think, a position of power or doing something a little squirrely, I guess, should be worried about that now. And it's also like, hey, if you don't have anything to hide, then you have nothing to be worried about. Love you guys. Thank you for the chats. Thank you for the comments. I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye. Bye. All right. Love you guys. God, I don't even want to leave. This candle smells so good. I don't want to leave. All right. Love you guys. Talk to you soon. Bye. Love you all. Join the Discord. Feet. Love you all. Wow. You guys are awesome. Bye, guys. Bye. Now I'm really leaving. Love you. Bye.